Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Anthony Joshua will defend his three major titles against Andy Ruiz Jr. on June 1st in New York. It has been confirmed. The pair will square off on June 1st at Madison Square Garden. Ruiz, the late replacement for Jarrell Miller, who failed 3 doping tests in the lead up to what would have been the biggest fight of his life. Now it's been handed to Ruiz Jr. on a plate. He is the guy that has emerged and risen to the top of the other contenders vying for this fight with Joshua. There had been others like Michael Hunter, Luis Ortiz, and even Trevor Bryan who were in the mix, but Ruiz has emerged here to take the fight. He is 32-1, 29 years old, 74-inch reach, 6'2". He has fought for a world title before, taking on Joseph Parker at the back end of 2016, but losing a majority decision on that occasion. That was in New Zealand, a very close fight, Parker getting a very close decision in his own backyard. Some thought Andy Ruiz Jr. had done enough to win. I myself scored that one a draw on the night. Very good fight, close action, but now he will face Anthony Joshua. Since the Parker fight, he's only had 3 fights. He had over a year off after losing to Parker. He fought a couple of journeymen in 2018. He's had the one fight in 2019, and that was just the other week against Alexander Dimitrenko, who he beat in 5 rounds with Dimitrenko retiring. So Andy Ruiz Jr. looks like he will be match fit for this fight, having had a full camp ahead of the Dimitrenko fight, and now he will be slated to fight on June 1st against Joshua. Overall, Andy Ruiz Jr. as an opponent, he's got some good credibility with his pedigree, some of the wins on his record, his fast hands. He is a good heavyweight contender. Can he beat Joshua? Well, that's another story. But out of the guys that were left to choose from, apart from the major fighters who were already tied up in fights, Ruiz Jr. is one of the better opponents that they could have chosen. Obviously, a lot of fans wanted to see Luis Ortiz face Anthony Joshua, but negotiations fell over there with, and I'll cover this in another video. Eddie Hearn has revealed that Luis Ortiz was offered $7 million to fight Anthony Joshua, but his people turned it down and called it a lowball offer publicly before recanting, saying it wasn't a lowball offer. So Luis Ortiz and his team walked away from $7 million, opening the door here for Andy Ruiz Jr. to step in. Anthony Joshua will probably, I think, quite fancy this opponent in terms of being able to potentially knock him out. Ruiz Jr., a pressure fighter, likes to come forward, throw fast combinations with his fast hands, and I think he will be there for Anthony Joshua to hit. But obviously, Ruiz will bring the pressure. Anthony Joshua hasn't necessarily fought a lot of guys like Ruiz who come forward in the way that he does. He's a bit different to guys like Alexander Povetkin, who moves around a bit more, but Ruiz, he's got decent power. He should be able to give Joshua some issues probably for the opening rounds, because he does come better than advertised. He's a very good heavyweight. It's not going to impress everyone though, because obviously the casual fan may look at Ruiz, the shape of his body, because he's not the body beautiful. Obviously he's got a bit of rubble on his frame. Some people may look at this and go, well, is this a legitimate fight for Anthony Joshua? But those in the know, boxing fans, know that Ruiz Jr. is a solid contender and worthy of a title shot. And obviously his options at the moment, because he's had some promotional issues with Top Rank, he hadn't been that active since his fight with Parker. Some of that was his own doing, but also some of that was Top Rank more latterly. More recently, he signed with the PBC, and that will bring up the question of, well, if he's a PBC fighter, why is he coming over to fight Anthony Joshua to help out that US debut on DAZN? I think it's a pretty easy answer. Ruiz Jr. is the last cab on the rank here to join the PBC stable. He hasn't established himself, doesn't have roots down. He's not really that close to a fight with Deontay Wilder. The pipeline for Wilder looks like an Ortiz rematch and then Adam Kovnatsky, and who knows, maybe we'll get undisputed in 2020, but I wouldn't hold my breath. So Ruiz, to some extent, was expendable. So him going off and facing Anthony Joshua to have a crack at those 3 belts, well, there was nothing really from Al Heyman's stable that he was putting on the line that he already hadn't planned for. Ruiz just coming in, not really factored into the long-term plans. Obviously, he would have been building his way up over the next year, possibly, to get in a position for a title shot at some point. But he's grabbed this one with two hands, and good on him. So I expect the official press release out soon. It'll say all the normal sort of things, but Andy Ruiz Jr. is a solid heavyweight contender. This should be a good fight for however long it lasts, but I am picking Anthony Joshua to win this one. I'll detail my thoughts in a longer video at a later date on some of the what to expect, but I do like this one. Decent matchup. Is it as good as Jarrell Miller? Actually, it's probably on about a par. Andy Ruiz Jr. is a very good fighter. If he and Miller fought, and that had potentially, was going to happen at some point, because Miller had called out Ruiz before, earlier in their careers, but they never met in the ring, that would have been a pretty decent fight. Obviously, it doesn't matter now because Joshua is facing Ruiz on June 1st. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.